Hello everybody and welcome to HawkeyeFX with your host Marcus Toombs on the 28th of August 2017. Now I do apologise that this weekly review is slightly late this week, and that is due to a bank holiday in the UK today when the weather was very nice and hot. Okay, so if we pick up this from last week, we were expecting and seeing yen weakness and US dollar weakness in the currency pairs, and we were looking to trade these against Canadian strength, Aussie strength, New Zealand strength, and we were waiting for this euro to turn up, which it did, and for the pound to turn up, which it also did. So if we look here on the 4-hour charts here and start off with the US dollar pairs, you can see the US dollar since Monday, the vertical line here has weakened significantly against the euro now that that's turned, and latterly in the last half of the week against the pound, horizontal against the yen, which was also weakening, but you can see here weakened significantly against the Canadian dollar and to a lesser extent the Aussie dollar. You will notice here that we were weakening against the New Zealand dollar, but this did turn down through the week and was itself weaker than the dollar. And then with the Japanese yen, we were expecting the yen to weaken, which it has in the charts, but not with particularly sufficient pip movement. You can see here against the pound, it's slightly weakening here, against the euro weakening, against the Canadian weakening, against the Aussie slightly weakening, and initially against the New Zealand going horizontal before actually starting to strengthen. Now do note this last bar here, which is a news announcement in the last hour over North Korea, and this will be a subject of my video tomorrow. So for the euro then, when it did turn up in the week, you can see we're in a very bull market for the euro, and so once we turn back into strength, we expect good pip movement in this currency, and it certainly didn't disappoint last week, gaining on all of our currencies and being our strongest currency. The Canadian, as discussed, strengthened through the week last week, but as we see now just today, this has started to turn in the market. We're now seeing weakness coming into the Canadian. Similar story here for the Aussie, which strengthened a little bit through last week, as we saw here with some pip movement, but then latterly turning and starting to weaken. And the New Zealand dollar, which has now turned down last week again, we're seeing some weakness come into this currency pair. And then finally the pound pairs, you can see here the pound was weakening all through last week against all of the 6 currency pairs, but latterly in the last part of last week you can see the strength now coming into the pound. Okay, so if we look at the main news releases this week, then we can see the ADP non-farm employment change on Wednesday for the US dollar, followed of course by the big one, non-farm payrolls, on Friday. We also see the GDP out of the US dollar on Wednesday and pending home sales on Thursday. The inflation reading for the euro is coming out on Thursday. This is expected to be better than last month, and this could bring additional strength into the euro. And then on Friday we have the manufacturing PMI out of the UK and the Caixin manufacturing PMI out of China. Now on top of this, we have some major events happening in the world, not least the hurricane in the United States. We have more problem with North Korea with ballistic missile tests. We have the Brexit negotiations going on with euro and the pound. And in addition, we also have a falling oil price. This means there's lots of market drivers going on, and this could well see some big moves over the next few weeks in the forex market. Okay, what will I be looking out for over the next week? The most obvious one is the euro strength as we turn back up in the charts here, and I expect this to be our strongest currency throughout the week. This will be followed up closely by the pound, which is turned up for strength here. Against this, we will continue to look for dollar weakness and yen weakness here, but also now look out for Canadian weakness as we turn down sharply here, Aussie weakness, and continuing New Zealand weakness. Okay, as usual, I wish you all the best for your trading this week. Do look for opportunities on pullbacks to enter into the bigger trends as we see here on the Daily Fat Man.